Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Snort, snort, snort.
Kogan. Drip.
Snort, snort.
I got the drip. Go.
Before we get to that, I just want to say yesterday, we faltered a little bit. We fumbled and stumbled. We didn't hit any support goals yesterday. Now, listen, that's not the end of the world at all. And I want you to understand that with the amount of support that I've been getting recently, those first 2 days of this week were outstanding. We were hitting like double goals multiple times. I'm not upset in any way, okay? But obviously, I want to get back on track today. I think that yesterday it was really the game selection. You had GTA 4, which people are liking, but we've now played about 20 hours of 15. It's between 15 and 20 hours of it. And let's face it, I've played the game twice before for YouTube, so it's not as exciting as the first two playthroughs. There is some nostalgia factor, and the fact that I'm using mods does spruce it up a bit, makes it feel a little bit fresh and new. But I think kind of the gimmick of me playing GTA 4 has already worn out. It is what it is. If you want to know the truth, I think the same thing happened when I played it 6 years ago. Like, I'm starting to remember in my head, I'm like, I think that's exactly what happened last time. Like, at first, people were hyped and excited, and the streams were doing good, and then it kind of, slowed down about halfway through, and that looks like exactly what's happening now. So, because of that, all right, basically what we're going to do is we're going to move GTA 4 from daytime streams to night streams, okay? It's not the end of the world. It's not, oh no, the playthrough now is ending or I'm quitting the game. I really liked the game. To be honest, the amount of effort that was put into getting it to work with mods, if you remember, it wasn't easy. We were having issues getting it to work. I'm not just going to, stop playing the game. But I can't have it be the main featured stream of the day if people aren't going to be as interested in it. It's weird because at first they were. Like, we were getting great attendance and support, and now it's kind of faltered. So we're going to turn that into a night stream. And it's absolutely perfect right now because we're not doing Mario Kart on night streams anymore. So we're going to have some free time at night to put a game like that. And probably what I'll do is play it like twice a week on night streams. So we'll get about 2 to 2.5 hours of gameplay in every time we play it. Probably by, maybe mid-August, we'll wrap it up. But just so everyone knows, I made this abundantly clear yesterday, we're not going to do the DLCs. People are like, are you going to play The Lost and Damned? Are you going to play The Ballad of Gay Tony? No. If people were showing up and engaging and supporting with the game, then I would be like, why not? Let's keep that rolling. But already halfway into the main campaign of the game, people are not showing up anymore. So why am I then going to say, let's also commit to the DLCs? Listen, I know the DLCs are good. I'm 100% aware. I would love to play them. In fact, I've only played them once, I think. Yeah. Again, it's all cause and effect. It's direct results. If people had kept showing up and engaging and supporting with GTA 4, I would have done the DLCs. I actually wanted to do them. I have them. I do. I have them in this version of the game that I bought on PC. But what can you do? Now, I will say this as well. All right? I will say this as well. If GTA 4 starts doing well on night streams, if people show up and engage and support with it, and on the night streams, there's a desire where people are like, can you bring this back to a daytime stream? Can we still do the DLCs, even though that one stream it went wrong? I would consider it. But we got to see how it does as a night stream. If people show up and support it on night streams, maybe I'll bring it back to a daytime slot, and then I'll commit to doing the DLCs. But as of now, there's no way I can do that. All right? So I'm not dooming this game to a night stream only, and then we're only going to do... I'm saying it's possible. All right? That's right. Nuez in chat just says, the first DLC you played way back in February 2009, then May 23rd, 2013. Yeah, if you're not aware, when I first played the Lost and Damned DLC, I got hit with copyright strikes. That was actually my first experience on YouTube with copyright. I never thought that was even possible, that someone would strike a channel for playing a game. And to this day, it's not clear if it was Rockstar who hit me with those strikes or if it was actually a troll. Because eventually they actually were released from the channel. So, who knows? Anyway, so GTA 4 will now be a night stream starting next week. We'll see how it goes. If it does well, it may come back to day streams. If it does well, we may do the DLCs. But for now, it's going to be a night stream game. Okay? All right. I hope that makes sense. Last night with Mario Kart. So, what happened with Mario Kart? Let me summarize. Then I'm going to do some shout outs because I have a super chat and a tip and more to shout out here. Okay. And then, we will talk about my final review for Mario Kart World, and then we're going to figure out what game's going to replace it, okay? So, Mario Kart World last night was my best Mario Kart World stream ever. I had more top 8 placings, several top 4 placings, and in my final match ever. Seriously, I felt this made me feel so good. My final match ever of Mario Kart World, I won. I won Knockout Tour. So that means I won twice. Admittedly, the first time that I won, it was nearly an empty lobby with only like 5 or 6 humans in it and a lot of bots. This time, the lobby was full, and even my detractor troll stream snipers were in there trying to take me down, and they failed, and I still won because I'm actually good at Mario Kart World. That's right. It doesn't matter what any bunch of circle-jerking, mentally deficient idiots on the internet say. I have proven that I'm actually good at the game by showing distinct progress every time I've played it, getting better and better, and finally culminating in me actually winning a match when I had 4 or 5 people specifically gunning for me to take me down. I still won. There's nothing they could do. I proved that I'm good at the game, and they can kiss my hairy fucking ass. The king triumphant, as always. You can't stop me no matter how hard you try. So, now that that's that, you might say, well, why am I quitting the game? All right. Here's why I'm quitting the game. All right. It's a pretty obvious reason. There's really 2 ways that a game works as a playthrough on this channel. Way number 1 is if I'm having an incredibly fun time. And to be honest, at first I was having a great time with seeing all the content, but then within 3 hours, we beat everything, including Rainbow Road. Like, wow, we saw everything. Then initially, when I was doing the online play, I also was having a good time with the online play. I would say probably the first stream or 2 that I did online of Knockout Tour I enjoyed. But once I actually got into the meta of the game, seeing that the game is dominated by item use and not really by good driving, I kind of fell out of love with it. Even the overwhelming power of nostalgia couldn't allow me to like the game anymore. Therefore, I stopped liking it. Now, you might say, well, if you stopped liking it after 2-3 streams of the online play, why'd you keep playing it? Because you liked it. You guys were showing up, engaging with the streams, and supporting them in droves. We were hitting the goals. People were contributing to pick my racers and carts. My trolls were coming out and giving me extra views. You know, even be honest, the revenue for the partner program over on Kick was pretty good whenever I played the game. So if all these factors are there, I'll tough through a game that I'm not enjoying if it means putting out entertaining content for you. Okay? But last night is basically where the buck stopped because I'd done everything. I've unlocked all of the carts. I've unlocked most of the racers. There's a few racers I didn't get, but it doesn't really matter because they're all just variations of the same racers with outfits on anyway. It's not like, oh, he didn't unlock 20 unique characters. No, it's just stupid dress up for the characters. It's dumb, okay? There's nothing to do in the open world whatsoever. It's a complete waste of time, and it was a huge bait and switch where Nintendo advertised the open world as something good, and it's just not existing. It's just stupid, okay? And I've done everything in the online play. I've won multiple times. There's no real ranking system. There's nothing to level up or aspire to do. I've done it all. I won against all odds, and I get a big middle finger to the fucking haters out there, showed them that I'm good, and they have to kiss my balls. So there's nothing left to do in this game. On top of all of that, last night, I didn't hit my support goal, not even close. So if I'm not enjoying the game, if I've done everything in the game there is to accomplish, and if people aren't even enjoying and supporting it anymore, why on earth would I keep playing it? I'd be a fucking idiot. Well, I'm not a fucking idiot, so I'm not going to play it anymore. Okay? No, Sean, I don't accept donations, but I do accept crowdfunding contributions and support. Thank you very much. All right. So Mario Kart's out of the rotation. Now I'm going to give you my review of it in a sec. But before then, allow me to do a couple shout outs. There's been some support. I want to get that out of the way. I want to talk a little bit about our goals for the week and all of that. And then we're going to get to my final thoughts on Mario Kart World. All right. All right. So thank you for the support so far, everyone. To be frank, it would be great to get some kick support today. And what I mean by that is yesterday, there was a distinct lacking of kick support. The people who usually come by and support weren't around. They had actually been around the day before, but yesterday, none of them were around. So what ended up happening was we did get some good support on YouTube and some good tips, but 2 subs all day long on kick. And we didn't hit any of our goals. You know, it takes a variety of support from various different audiences. And some days we do great. Some days we hit the goal and it's no problem at all. And then other days, like yesterday, like, wow, I got 100 people plus watching me over on Kick and no one's supporting. It's kind of weird and suspect. So if you're watching on Kick today and you like the content, please support it. Don't be like Buckwell and his cataracts and pretend like you can't see and say that the game is ugly and then say, oh, I can't donate because I'm blind. Don't do that. Instead, actually support the stream by becoming a sub or maybe gifting some subs over on Kick to see your fellow viewer. All right? That would be very nice of you. And I'll give you a shout out if you do. Now, today, as I said over the last week since I've been playing Donkey Kong Bonanza, we have special animations. If you do a $20 tip, a $20 super chat on YouTube, or if you gift 4 subs over on Kick, also, the equivalent of that would be 7 gifted memberships on YouTube. So any of those things, if you do them, I will play a special animation for you that has both a cool animation, the dancing banana with my face on it, but also a sound effect. And depending on how you do it, like the super chat has one sound effect, but the other stuff will have a different sound effect. Okay? So thanks in advance to anyone who supports the streams. I appreciate you. I would say let's, at the very least, let's get halfway to the goal by the end of the podcast. That way, it's a lot easier going through Death Stranding 2 to hit that goal. We want to get that momentum back. We actually had insane momentum earlier this week. We hit the 70 goal, and then we had 6 more goals hit within 2 days. That's nuts. Okay, that's absolutely crazy. Then we faltered yesterday. But let's get back on track. For those who don't remember, all right, it is, DSP tries it, a brand new thing. It's called MLB, like Big League Bites or something like that. It is a ghost kitchen service that makes pretzel dog sandwiches, including hot dogs, chicken sandwiches, and cheesesteaks, plus they have a few sides and donut holes. So they only deliver. They don't have an actual physical location you can go dine in. And I've never done a ghost kitchen before, so I'm actually excited to give it a shot and see if it's any good. We will do that as soon as we hit 80 goals hit. So the sooner, the better. We could do it today if we hit 80 goals. We could do it tomorrow if we hit 80 goals. We could do it Friday. Or we could do it Sunday, Monday, whenever we hit 80 goals. All right? So please, let's get some support going and flowing. Let's get that momentum going. Thanks for the early support here. I appreciate you. So thanks for the early support. Thanks for the early momentum. Let's please keep that going. Let's, like I said, by the end of the podcast, let's aim to hit halfway to our goal. So let's try to get $75 of support by the end of the podcast. That way we only have to do another 75 while we're playing Death Stranding 2. It'll make it a lot easier. All right? And let's get that momentum going. Let's get back to hitting goals. That way we can do DSP tries it, the MLB Big League Bites, hopefully by the end of the week. Okay? Cool. All right. So, folks, my coverage of Mario Kart World has ended. Okay? What I would like to do is do a segment of my podcast here where we're going to talk about my thoughts about the game. Now that I'm done with it, I'm not going to play it anymore. Okay? All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, I've just completed my gameplay coverage of Mario Kart World here on my channel, DSP Gaming, after roughly 20 or so hours of gameplay, give or take. It might be a little bit more, it might be a little bit less. I made about 19 videos, and this covered playing the entirety of the single-player content of the game, meaning all of the circuits, unlocking the secret circuits, and even doing Rainbow Road and all of that on the hardest difficulty level. Then going online and playing all the various online modes, including the standard single races, because they don't have online circuits anymore. Then the battle mode, and also a significant, probably 15 hours worth of the knockout tour, which really is the one new feature of this game. adding in all these courses connected together into actual circuits. Also, I did play some of the open world roaming mode. You know, the fact that this game has an open world that you can roam around and you can look for challenges, you can look for hidden question mark blocks or the peach tokens. So I've pretty much done all of the content of the game. I've unlocked every single cart. The only thing I actually didn't do is I didn't complete all the open world challenges, and I didn't unlock every single outfit for every character. And you might say, well, first of all, why didn't you unlock all of the open world challenges? Because they're completely pointless. If you're not aware, Nintendo advertised Mario Kart World as the first Mario Kart game to have an open world to wander, and said, hey, you're going to want this game because it has more content than any Mario Kart before. You're going to have all these challenges and hidden items and all of that. But what they failed to tell you was that it's completely pointless. All of that open world challenge content literally does nothing. Does it unlock any characters? No. Does it unlock any carts? No. Does it unlock any content at all within the game? No. It's actually completely pointless. What you get are these stickers that you can apply to your profile and stuff. They mean nothing. There's no reason to do any of the content. Imagine that, a video game that presents you with all of this challenge, but never gives you any outcome after you do it all. Why do it then? If there's no carrot that you're dangling in front of me to keep me moving, if there's no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow, then why am I going to grind my way through all of this content? It's as if Nintendo had the idea, but literally never finished it. Said, well, we'll advertise like we finished it, but we actually aren't going to. We're just going to have it there for content's sake. This is classic bloat, and it's what's happened, sadly, in the last decade. As consoles were able to start making games that had more content in them, big open worlds, what these game developers started doing was putting in frivolous, repeating, boring, open world grinding content. Think games like Far Cry, or think games like Assassin's Creed. Huge worlds, but what's the point of killing every enemy, taking over every base, and doing every objective if you don't get anything meaningful for it? Well, this is the classic textbook case of that. Nintendo wanted to say this was the biggest Mario Kart ever, but they didn't put any effort into it. But hey, they charged you $80 for the game. Because you might say, well, why else would Nintendo charge $80 for Mario Kart World? Well, it has the same amount of tracks as previous Mario Kart games. So it's not the amount of tracks. It has a good amount of racers, but most of the racers are just skins of other racers, and they don't have any difference from them. So it doesn't have more characters. It doesn't have more carts than previous Mario Karts. Okay, what does it have? Better graphics. I will give it that. On the Switch 2, this game runs beautifully at 4K resolution. It runs at a smooth 60 frames per second, and it never really dips. So I will say that. It's the best looking Mario Kart ever made. Also, this game is absolutely great at nostalgia bait. And what I mean by that is if you're a previous fan of old school Mario Kart or any of these Nintendo franchises, Donkey Kong, Mario, etc., you're going to love playing through this game once or twice and seeing all the nostalgic throwback tracks or hearing the remixes of old music from the era of SNES or Nintendo 64 or GameCube. It hits you right here, right in the heartstrings. You're like, oh man, this feels like something from my childhood, but it's made for me as an adult. The problem is, nostalgia bait isn't enough to carry an entire game. And when it actually comes down to the gameplay elements of Mario Kart World, it's arguably one of the worst Mario Karts they've ever made. In fact, I would say the only Mario Kart that I've played that I could say is actually worse than this one would actually have been the Mario Kart that was on the Nintendo DS. I can't remember the name of it, but it was the first one that ever had the competitive online play. And the reason that I say that is because that game's entire gameplay loop was snaking. That game, what you needed to do was power slide left, boost, power slide right, boost, power slide left, boost. And if you didn't do that, you literally couldn't win a race. The entire game, you just had to snake. And it was stupid because it was a gimmick that should have just been that, a gimmick, and not dominating the competitive nature of the game. Mario Kart World is so bad when it comes to the competitive play, Actual driving skill is a completely moot point because the game now has 24 racers. At any given moment, someone who's in last place can get the blue shell, the lightning, the bullet bill transformation, the big mushroom transformation, and immediately turbo through everyone right into the top 8. And this happens over and over and over again. Now, admittedly, you do need to have some competence. If you're absolutely garbage at the game, you're not going to win races. But for the most part, playing well is not rewarded, but punished. Because there's 24 racers, if you're out front and you get hit by an item, chances are you're then going to get hit by another one and another one. It's going to become a chain reaction. And there have been several times where I am absolutely dominating a race front of the pack, and I get hit either by a red shell or a blue shell or whatever it is, and then I get comboed, then I'm at the end of the pack. Then when I go to drive again, you're in last place. Oops, you couldn't get to the qualifier spot, and you're eliminated. But I was the best player. I was literally sitting in first for like 3-4 minutes. How can you punish me for that? Mario Kart doesn't care. Mario Kart World is not a competitive game. It's a party game made for, people to just mash buttons and get lucky. And in fact, what people have said is the meta of the game has actually become how to stack, stockpile, and use items, not how to drive. So I just want you to think about that for a moment. Nintendo created a driving game where they put so many players into it and so many overpowered items that driving takes a back seat to abusing the items. Wow, that sounds like a good idea, doesn't it? No, it doesn't at all. And the sad fact is, even if you get good at that, if you get good at, I know how to stockpile my items, I know how to predict when someone's going to get a lightning bolt so I don't lose my items, it even doesn't matter. Allow me to explain why. The standard races are horrible. You do one single race and then it cancels out and then it rematches you and you do one single race. There's no 1, 2, 3 placements. No one earns a trophy. The classic Mario Kart feeling has been completely removed from the game. So the actual standard online play is a waste of your time. But what about battle mode? It's awful. It's incredibly boring. What they tried to do is recreate battle mode from the SNES game, but it's so boring when you're just in this tiny arena and you're driving in circles, throwing items at each other. It's just stupid and pointless. The only actual mode that has any legs in this game is called Knockout Tour. So what Knockout Tour is, it's the mode where you have to keep placing in the top few places every time that you hit a checkpoint to continue racing. If you don't get into that top category of places, you get eliminated, and then you're out of the race. It's very exciting, and this is the mode where you get to see all the tracks are connecting to each other in the game, which really is the only one new feature they added to this game. I believe I want to say there's 5 or 6 different circuits that you can race on, and they are randomly selected. You don't get to select them. You just get randomly thrown into them. There's no selection process or anything like that. And so when you play this mode, the higher you place, you earn points. And so you're going to see this points total accumulate. But there's a small problem. The points actually have absolutely no meaning at all. There's no categories, rankings. You don't go from, stone to iron to copper, silver, gold, diamond, plat. Doesn't exist. There's no ranking system at all. You can't see how good you are compared to other players. It's completely pointless. It's just a number that either goes up or down, depending on how well you do. The higher you place, the more points you'll get. If you place horribly, you lose points. But who cares? The game doesn't match you according to your points at all. You'll be in a match. You have 5,000 points. You'll be in a match with people who have 1,000 points and people who have like 10,000 points. The game doesn't care. It just puts you with anyone anyway. So they don't mean anything. They're completely frivolous. Why do they even exist? I don't know. The thing is, if Nintendo was going to charge $80 for this game, you would think they would have put in enough effort to say, hey, we're going to make our game competitive. We're going to have leagues. We're going to have rankings. You're going to want to get to the master level, much like if you're playing a competitive fighting game and you're ranking up, or maybe you're playing Call of Duty and you have incremental unlocks. No, there's nothing. I'm serious. There's absolutely nothing. The only stuff that you can unlock in this game is carts, and you get that just by naturally collecting coins over time, or outfits for characters, which you get by collecting the food bags on the stages. So it doesn't matter if you're good or bad, you're going to unlock everything eventually anyway. So what's the point of online play? What's the point of the ranking system with the points? Nothing. It has no purpose at all. Again, it feels just like the open world, something that Nintendo half developed, didn't finish, and said, oh, well, release it, sell it for $80. The game is full of half-cocked, half-finished ideas and doesn't feel like a complete product at all. An unfinished open world, a complete nonsensical online play system. What the hell happened with this game in development? And if you want to know the honest truth, here's what I actually think has happened. I think that Mario Kart World actually wasn't intended to be the launch title for the Switch 2. And you can call me crazy. I think that this game was supposed to be released later down the line, maybe in the fall, maybe in the winter. But they really wanted to have a first-party game to become the flagship title for the Switch 2. But they also didn't want to put all their eggs in one basket. So what they did is they said, hey, is this game ready to release now? Well, technically it is. It just doesn't have full features. Who cares? It's a launch title, and it's the only first-party launch title. Outside of Mario Kart World, the only other games available for the Switch 2 at launch were ports. Ports of games that you could have already played on another platform. So if it's the only unique experience that you can get, guess what? People are going to buy it regardless of the price. And that's exactly what happened. Mario Kart World was released half-finished for exorbitantly expensive pricing, even though it didn't have the features in it to warrant said pricing. But everyone bought it because we all wanted this original first-party game at the launch of Switch 2. It literally was a ripoff, and Nintendo knew exactly what they were doing, and they don't care. Because here's the truth, everyone. Nintendo doesn't care about you. Did you hear what I just said? Nintendo, the company, does not care about you. It doesn't matter what you think or this fanboy mentality that you may be a part of and this weird cultish-like following that Nintendo has. That, oh, wait, but they always release good games. What about the amiibos? What about the... Nintendo does not care about the common consumer whatsoever. You want to know what Nintendo cares about? Money. Just like any other corporation, all they care about is making profits. They don't care about the quality. They don't care about anything. Seriously, all they want is to make money. So what they've done with the Switch 2 is did artificial scarcity. Oh, you can't get the console at launch. It's hard to get. Yet there were more than enough to sell. They just held back at providing them to the market. Oh, the only game available at launch is Mario Kart World. Oh, by the way, Donkey Kong Bonanza was finished, but they decided to wait a month and a half to sell it to create artificial scarcity. For the console you just dropped $450 for, maybe you wouldn't have bought a multiplayer game. But since it's the only first-party game available, sell it quick, sell it for $80, make everyone pay top dollar for it. You'll forget about it in a month because Donkey Kong's coming out. You see what they did? They actually used a savvy business strategy. The thing is, it's anti-consumer, it's anti-gamer, and it's actually downright immoral. They sold you an $80 game that wasn't finished, that didn't even have as many features as previous Mario Kart games, but they lied to you and said it had more. They said there was an open world, but the open world is meaningless and empty. They said that the online play was different, but actually the online play is unfinished. Do you notice there's no uproar in the gaming community about it, though? Because it's Nintendo. Because Nintendo has this weird fan base of obsessed cult-like people who, no matter what Nintendo does, they can do no wrong. I don't care that you sold me a half-finished game for more money than every other game, because you're Nintendo and I love you. You can't do anything wrong. Everything's always good with Nintendo, right? No. I'm sorry, but the modern gaming landscape is different. There's a lot of competition out there. PC, PlayStation, Xbox, all of these handheld things now, the ROG Ally and all this. There's a lot of ways you can play games. You don't need to buy the Switch 2 to get a family-friendly experience anymore. You can actually get that on other platforms now. So Nintendo should be forced to justify the purchase of the Switch 2 at $450 and an $80 purchase of this flagship title. They've done nothing to do that, yet people still bought it in droves. Do you see the problem here? If consumerism's attitude doesn't change, if people don't stop spending on things that are inferior or mediocre, there will never be incentive for a company like Nintendo to ever do better for you. Do you think Nintendo would ever release something like Nintendo Game Pass? No. Why on earth would they do that? You're spending $80 for an unfinished Mario Kart. Why would they do a Nintendo Game Pass where they give you new games for a subscription? Are you out of your mind? Of course they're never going to do that. But that's because you reward mediocrity, okay? So Mario Kart World is a great-looking nostalgia bait trap. It performs very well. It has great remixed music. The tracks look great. But once you peel back that shiny exterior, you see a game that's bare bones, a bait-and-switch ad campaign with an open world that's completely frivolous, empty, and worthless, online play that has absolutely no effort put into it. Oh, by the way, there's also one final point that I need to make that no one else has talked about on the internet. You ready for this? Mario Kart World lags when you play it online. And you might say, wait, it does? Why haven't I heard anyone say anything about that? In fact, I've heard the opposite. I've heard people say that it doesn't lag. Do you want to know why? Because once again, Nintendo is dishonest in this game. They actually hide the lag. What do I mean by that? Well, a lot of games with online competitive play, if there's lag, they'll slow down the game in order for the game to be able to play catch up. Mario Kart World doesn't do that. It continues to always play at full speed. But what happens is the game starts to kind of bug out. So for example, you'll see Wario will be right here in front of you. He'll disappear and then he'll reappear way in front of you. What? A red shell will be thrown at you and the detector will go off. You have the speaker. So you press the button to stop the red shell will hit you. Why didn't my speaker go off? I pressed the button. But the game never lags, right? No, the game is lagging, but Nintendo doesn't make the game slow down. It still plays full speed. So it hides the lag. You may not notice it because the game is so chaotic as it is that things are always going crazy. With 24 characters on the screen, it's hard to keep track of what's happening at any given moment. But there's tons of times when you get hit by something that's not there. Or people are teleporting left, right, or all around. If you don't believe me, there is one absolutely irrefutable piece of evidence that proves what I'm saying. When you're playing Knockout Tour mode online and you reach one of the gates to qualify and continue to race, all of a sudden in your corner of your screen, it'll say you're in third place, fourth place. But as you approach the gate, it disappears. Then you drive through the gate. The game takes about half a second to figure it out. And then all of a sudden, the game will tell you whether or not you qualified. And then after another half a second, your ranking will appear again. If the game didn't lag, why would it need to erase your ranking, try to compute where you are, and then tell you later? It would just keep you in that place. But it actually doesn't know because it lags. It actually has to think for a second. And it has to look at all of its calculations to see where you are and figure it out and then tell you later. So for a split second, it actually exposes the fact that it has a lot of lag, but then it goes back to hiding it by having everything go in real time. So this is probably one of the most interesting ways I've ever seen lag hidden, because I've seen multiple games like Street Fighter, Call of Duty. They all do it a little differently these days. But this is actually the most dishonest I've ever seen. To not have the game ever slow down or stutter, but then to have things happen in the game that literally didn't happen on your screen, like a person disappearing and reappearing way in front of you, or an item hitting you that literally doesn't exist in the game on your screen, or not responding when you press your button so your speaker can't stop a shell. It's pretty bad. And there have been times when I'm in like 18th place and I'm at the qualification gate. You must be top 20 to qualify. My ranking disappears. I drive through and it's eliminated. but I was in 18th. Well, actually, I wasn't, but the game hid the lag by saying that I was in 18th, deleting that, and then just saying you're eliminated. So, ladies and gentlemen, Mario Kart World is a great looking nostalgia bait game that is arguably one of the worst of this game's franchise ever. And that's sad because we waited a decade for a new Mario Kart to come out. Remember, they kept selling and reselling Mario Kart 8. They had DLCs and expansion. When's the next one? Well, here it is. And now it's unfinished. It's broken. It's empty. It's way too expensive. It doesn't have content and it lags. What a joke. But no one's talking about it. Why? Because everyone already moved on to Donkey Kong Bonanza. And that was Nintendo's plan all along. Release this game as the launch title, and then before anyone has a chance to figure out what's going on, move on to the next exclusive so everyone will be done with it and no one will care. It's marketing genius and it's business 101, but gamers are too ignorant to figure this out. Well, I'm not. I played for 20 hours and I can tell you, game's bad. Sorry, it just is. If you love Mario Kart, you'll get some enjoyment out of this game. But as a game that's value for your buck, or a game that even is like refutable, like, oh, this is a game that's good in the rankings of Mario Kart. No, it's not. It's actually one of the worst ones they've ever made. They just won't tell you and no one will talk about it because we're already playing Bonanza and we won't talk about this game again. It already passed. They got away with it. So if you've been waiting, like, is this a system seller? No. You do not need a Switch 2 just to play Mario Kart. You'll be done in 3 to 4 hours and you will be absolutely bored. Okay? So my final thoughts on Mario Kart World. It was a fun romp for 20 hours. I got my money's worth out of it as a content creator, but value for the dollar for the average consumer is not there. $80 is insanely overpriced for what they've put together. Nintendo has successfully pulled the wool over everyone's eyes, making this a launch title that everyone's already forgotten about. The game is an absolute ripoff, and you shouldn't waste $80 on it unless you are the most hardcore, die-hard Mario Kart fan. This is a skip. But here's the worst part all about it, ladies and gentlemen. Are you ready for this one? Even though you already paid $80 plus tax to play this game, in a year's time, Nintendo will release DLC. They will release more tracks, more content, more racers, and the like, and they're going to charge you $30 to $40 for it. Even though you already paid more than the game was worth at launch, they are not going to give you free DLC. They're going to nickel and dime you again for more content that should have been present in the launch of the game. I don't know what else to say. It's that simple. Nintendo has lost their way. Nintendo used to be better than this, but this is now their business strategy. What it is that people are so blindly following Nintendo that they just buy everything. So even though you already got ripped off, in a year, it's like Stockholm Syndrome. I'll just buy again. I'll spend more. Why are you spending more? You already got ripped off. Well, I got to spend more anyway. It's Nintendo. Then Nintendo will never change. Nintendo will never improve if you continue to reward their scamming nature and the mediocrity of what they're putting out in the modern day. It didn't used to be like this. Nintendo always used to go the extra mile. They made sure that their first-party titles had tons of content, polish, and attention, and quality. Remember the Nintendo seal of quality? It used to mean something. Now, it's a joke. Even the first-party titles look nice, but outside of that, there's just no substance, and that's sad. In 2025, Nintendo has essentially become a company that coasts. And they used to be the innovators in gaming. They used to be synonymous with greatness. When you didn't used to say, I want to play a video game. You say, I'm going to go play Nintendo. Do you say that today? No, because Nintendo has been the company that coasts on their previous laurels and doesn't put in the effort to earn your dollar, but you keep spending it. Mario Kart World is a ripoff. I don't recommend it unless you're a hardcore fan, but you're probably going to buy it anyway because no one listens. There you go. That's my final thoughts. All right. Someone tipped $1.23 and says, so Nintendo is like every other greedy gaming corporation that releases half-finished games on launch day. Thanks for the insightful review. Yes, they are, but the difference here is that no one acknowledges it. Almost everyone acknowledges now that the big game companies like Bethesda, Ubisoft, they're all doing this. But no one acknowledges that Nintendo is doing it. Have you heard anyone else say what I just said and actually present evidence like I just did? Everyone just kissed the game's butt and then moves on to the next Nintendo game. I'm the only one you're going to get honesty from because I have no stake in the game. I don't need to kiss Nintendo's butt because I'm not worried they're not going to provide me another content piece of game. You know, I didn't get Mario Kart for free. I'm not getting there. I'm paying for it like you, like a consumer. So I don't care if Nintendo doesn't like me. I have no incentive to lie. But that's why you're never going to get this kind of honesty from anyone else because they're all playing the game, right? They want to be in good graces with all these game devs. So they're always going to kiss butt and they're going to tell it not like it is, but how they want you to hear it so that you're just complacent and you keep spending. Not me. I'll tell you like it is. Let's see here. I received a $2 tip. So, okay, here's another person. I'm going to address this too because I think I should address this. The reason Mario Kart has no points or ranking system, yes, it does. It has points. It has point system. It doesn't have any purpose to it, but it has a point system. Your statement's already wrong. It's because Mario Kart has never been a competitive game. It's a party game to mess around on. That's also wrong. There have been several tournaments and tournament circuits for Mario Kart. Back in the day, remember I just mentioned the Mario Kart and Nintendo DS? There was a whole tournament circuit for it, and it ended at EVO. EVO, Fighting Game Championships, actually had a Mario Kart tournament at it. You don't know what you're talking about. The focus has never been about driving skill. It's about screwing people over with items. At least that's how it was when I played the other games with my friends. That's why Mario Kart has never had an official tournament or competitive scene. That's incorrect. If people want competitive skill-based driving, they go to Gran Turismo or Forza. That may be true. But what you're saying is wrong. Just so you know. And just because, all right, it doesn't have it now doesn't mean it shouldn't have it. If all of your competition has it, if every game with competitive online play, fighting games, shooters, hell, even RTS games, sports games, if they all have tiers and ranking systems and incentive to get good, why not put that into your modern game that you're charging more money than all of your competition? Doesn't it make sense that you should at least have the same features as your competitors if you're charging more? But they don't. They have a point system that literally does nothing. It's completely worthless. I rest my case. Thanks for $2. I find the best way to win knockout tours to stay in the middle. Be far enough that you'll pass, not far enough that you get targeted. If you need to be 12th to pass, be 10 or 11, not second. You also got to remember that everyone else is also being hit with the same amount of items. Like when you get hit by lightning, so did everyone. First place is always absolutely bombarded with items in knockout tour. That's fair enough. I will agree with you there. But does that make sense? Does it make sense that in a game with competitive racing, the goal is not to be the best competitive racer? That would be like, well, in a fighting game, the goal isn't to be the best player and defeat your opponent by reducing their HP. The goal is just to sit on super meter nonstop. Wait, what? It doesn't make sense. It's bad game design. And again, I kind of rest my case here. I do think that the game should be better and that it's not as good as it should be. Someone through the book says, you claim to not be a sucker, but you nearly bought 2 Switches and have bought every big Nintendo game. Okay. I'm sorry, but I have to respond to you in the most matter-of-fact way that I can. You are an ignorant fool because I am not a standard gamer or consumer. I'm a content creator. You understand? I bought the Switch 2 for $450. I bought Mario Kart for $80. All right? I spent $530 plus tax. I even bought a whole bunch of accessories. But so far, I did a marathon at the launch of Switch 2 that recouped all of that money already. I've done several streams of Mario Kart World over the last month and a half, each of which made me hundreds of dollars. I've made all this content. I will make even more content. Do you not understand the difference between someone who made an investment because they're going to make tons of money on the content versus the average consumer? When I'm reviewing these games, I'm reviewing them for you, not for me. How do you not understand that? Why would you make what you're saying makes no sense at all? It's logically stupid, what you just said. I'm not an average person who I come home from work or school and I didn't pop on my game console to relax. It's actually my job to cover these things, to analyze them in this way so that you know if it makes sense for you to get it. What don't you understand? Why would you even say that unless you're ignorant? Okay. Continuing on. I got $1.07 tip. It's a troll. Thanks for the money, dummy. All right. I received an incredibly generous $110 tip from Jersey Clyde, who says, I just wanted to show you some support, so have a good day, King. $110 tip. So first we're going to do this. All right. Well, let's be honest. I think the animation that everyone actually wants to see for that is this.
I need banana, tasty banana. I need banana, tasty banana. I need banana, tasty banana. I need banana, tasty banana.
And one more time.
I need banana, tasty banana.
Very nice. I had to do 5 animations for $100. So thank you to Jersey Clyde for an insanely generous $110 tip. Let's get that up on the leaderboard. That means we're now at $159 of support on the stream. And that means it is absolutely, positively, 100% official. Ladies and gentlemen, we are now in prime position to possibly hit not 1, but 2 goals on this stream. And if we do, that means we're in the home stretch to hit 80 goals, and DSP tries it this week. So thank you, guys. Let's keep it going, and thank you for your support.
I got the drip going. 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 I got the drip going.
It's like a faucet that's dripping. Can't make it stop. So what do you want me to do? Have a mute button that every second I'm tapping the mute button just in case I'm gonna have to clear? Like, this is what I mean, these dumb kids. This is what it is. It's dumb kids.